Hi Lee, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm
Thanks for
doing
talking to me
good.
today about this.
Yes, I'm so excited to chat with you. First of all, because I am a sucker for any series that has like expansive world building. So when I saw this, I was like, sign me up because I feel like this is something that I could definitely get into. So I wanted to ask you first, what made you want to be a part of this series? Like, were you familiar with the Foundation series before the series of books, or did you kind of like dive in without a ton of knowledge about
And as I listen to myself right now, it
it?
does. But that's the nerd in me kind of creeping out because I love this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I love the kind of cerebral pleasure of a story like this. But what very much attracted me to playing this part was the idea of playing the Emperor of the Galaxy. And the way that he holds this power. I mean, he's um, a bigger than life character. When I think about Cleon, he's not a man. He is a sequence. It's a sequence of men that I will play who are filling a very specific role for a period of time in their life. At any time, there are three living Cleons because we're a cloned dynasty.
Yeah.
There's the outgoing emperor, Dusk, there's Day, the sitting emperor, and then there's Dawn, the emperor that we're raising, the one that we're teaching the lines and the blocking and the different competing priorities of empires, so that when they inherit the throne, they will keep the galaxy safe. Um, Listen, your questions are so thoughtful, so don't let me run on. Let me answer specifically what you'd like to talk about.
For sure. So I was actually going to ask about that. You kind of went over a little bit, but can you tease for prospective viewers just about Brother Day, because these are characters that, Cleon is of course in the source material, but like these specific characters we're seeing in the series and kind of the foundation, I guess, no pun intended, of these Emperor clones and the relationship between the three of them.
Well, I mean, it's like I mean, I think that they think they're very special as the Emperor of the Galaxy. There's a fantasy that they hold that they're gods. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean? That they have the power over life and death, that they can give prosperity to this planet and destruction to this planet. That they can control, but there's a limit to control, right? I
Yes.
think that the sitting emperor looks at his ascendant and he thinks, I'll do this better than you. Where you made mistakes, I will be great. Where you were weak, I will be strong. And I think he looks at Dawn and says, it is imperative for the safety of the galaxy that you are exactly like me,
Hmm.
you know? And the familial conflict that creates, I think is personally very interesting. So you've got this family of brothers who are who believe that they're the same person. It's a mind fantasy that I think this season is very much about, you know, waking up from that fantasy and realizing that they're not the same person,
Yeah.
that they are individuals inside this, that he does have a sentience, that he has a unique personhood inside of this office that he holds, you know? He's not the emperor of the galaxy. You're not the role you hold, you
Hmm.
know? And the next question becomes, well, who are you? You know? What I love so much about this show is that it isn't, um, well, rather, I would say that it is an investigation of what it means to be human. It's an investigation of power, an investigation of change, an investigation of uh, what we can quantify with math and science, and what must be explored in the realm of spirituality, you know? Like that's the investigation that we're on, and we've been working away on it as we've been making the show. But now's the time to invite the audience in to investigate it with us. So, I I'm very cautious in this series of interviews that I'm doing about saying too much about the show because I want the audience to experience the story in the way that I experienced it, which was reading, the events as they come, you know?
Yeah. And I'm interested
Because
to know,
stuff happens in this show. Like big stuff happens every episode, you know?
yeah, yeah. I'm interested to know when working with the other actors that play Brother Dawn and Brother Dusk, were you all trying to, did you work on anything together, like making sure you would pick up on similar beats, similar mannerisms between the different emperors? Or was it more so of like you wanted to look at things that could be different between the different clones as well? Was this sort of like a process in which you looked, okay, hey, this is what he's doing, and then let me see how we can alter this one, and then looking at Dame, like, hey, we can do this one too.
Yes, both of that. Yeah, both of it is right because I mean, we began working together, me, Terrence Mann, Cassie Bilton, and Cooper Carter, working out physically mirroring one another and watching one another. Like watching one another, how they pick up a glass, how they say, trying to match each other's cadence when we speak, kind of finding moments where we mirror each other and we move in a way that is similar. And I really enjoy that kind of work. But then the story kind of demands that we start I mean, I think about it like this. It's like, are you ever of two minds about something? You can't make up your mind about something, right? You're like, well, one voice in your head is saying this, one voice in your head is saying that, right? So that's what is the experience of playing Cleon this season. There's one voice saying, you are the same man who has lived for 400 years. You are Cleon. You are the emperor of the galaxy. You have control and a responsibility to the trillions of people who look to you for that control. And then the other voice is saying, you're just a man. You're just a person. You're just a person who is dealing with the circumstances and the path before you. Um, and you have an individual uniqueness. You are unique despite that role you hold. You know?
And this is like I said, it's a world building series, but it's also like literally world spanning when you think about how many locations that the series shot in. From Ireland, Iceland, the Canary Islands, so many places. So I wanted to know the experience of shooting an expansive series in that sense. And then also having the layer of COVID over top of that while filming. What was all of that like?
Well, I've spent a lot of time in front of, blue screens. So, one of the things that I loved so much about shooting this show is that there was very little blue screen. I mean, there are extensions sometimes, but we were always on real sets and, on real locations, really, really out there. And there's anything that I can, anything that the environment provides that will help me get away from Lee and closer to Cleon, I will enthusiastically kind of take. I like that. I like the experience of being able to have moments where you lose yourself inside the character and being able to shoot in these extraordinary places um, really afforded that. And it was extraordinary to be able to see the world during COVID. We had an incredible crew that followed the protocols, and we all cared so much about the show that we were serious about the protocols and were able to complete it under these circumstances.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And David S. Goyer is such a prolific creator, both in TV and film. So, what was the experience like working on this series with him at the helm of it?
I love like asking David like what's coming? Like what's on your mind about this story? Because he's such a like innate storyteller. It's so fun to hear the story right out of his mouth. This is Cleon. This is what I see, in the future if we're lucky to get, future seasons.
Mhm.
What's going to happen with it? This is what this is the way I see the galaxy. I mean, he read these books as a child and has been thinking about what would be the visual language for this book
Yeah.
for years and years and years. And the technology is such that that is possible. I think his creative scope of understanding what is possible inside this world is just extraordinarily entertaining. I'm very entertained just at dinner with him, talking about what is on his mind when it comes to Foundation.
And I know that it is David's intent to, have as long running as possible for the series to go through different story beats and connect everything together. And I think he said even once possibly having around 80 some episodes or something like that. What do you hope would be if the show does get the chance to continue to go on? What are some hopes for the series as an actor? What do you hope things to explore as it would go on?
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic about this show because I love it, because it's the kind of thing that I would want to watch. So, we should be so lucky that we get a second season or a third season and get to continue doing it. Um, because I think that there's a really interesting story. I think about this as a big novel. There's not like that episodic quality to it. The
Yeah.
real pleasure of this show is seeing the long story play out. Um, so and I love a character that I can continue to figure I never think that there's enough time. I've done a lot of theater, and whenever I do it, I'll, have when I did Angels in America on Broadway about 3 years ago, I, I I worked so hard on it for so many months, and even on the last performance, I found new things and was like, ah, that's what that is. That's what that is. So yeah, I don't think that the work ever ends. I don't think that it's ever settled, and I wouldn't want it to. I think it's exciting to me to be able to the prospect of being able to sit with a character for a long time. But I will say this, um, I think we will earn every audience member that we get on this show. I think there's so much stuff out there, and I think this is such a unique show that, you know, we will have earned everyone who comes back for a second episode, you know? So I'm excited about that. And like I said, hopeful, but we'll see. We'll
Yes,
see.
yes, I definitely see.
How many episodes have you seen?
I've seen up until 8.
Oh,
So
wow. Wow, wow, wow.
yeah,
Cool.
so I dove right in, and I kind of like how you said because it does feel like about the episodic stuff because like it does feel episodic, but like it kind of almost feels like a long movie that you're just watching like an hour at a time, but also kind of still feels like a series. So it has like this unique quality to it that I kind of
Yeah.
like. So I relate to your answer a lot about the future because I do think it runs kind of like that too. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much, Lee, and I appreciate your time today. I can't wait for everyone to see the series.
Okay, cool. Respect and enjoy the piece.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
See you.
one.